case study for Patricia, aged 43. The presenting concerns are that Patricia is 43 years old. She's found herself pregnant. She's been in a marriage for 23 years. Patricia says that she is happy in her marriage. She has a good job. She's content with her life right now and is not sure if she can actually cope with the change that a new baby will bring along. So goals for this counseling session will be whether or not she continues to obtain clarification as to whether or not she continues with the pregnancy, and also whether or not she tells her husband about the pregnancy before she makes a decision, or makes him part of the decision, so that there's clarification around that, as she hasn't told her husband what is going on. I think this client will be very responsive to counseling, once again, because she's self-referred. She is looking for a safe space where she can actually air her concerns, where she can talk about what she is going through right now, what her thought processes are, so that she can actually make a decision without being judged, without the fear of repercussion. So she's looking for a good sounding board, I guess. Considering her responsiveness to change, presenting concerns and likely goals, I think a cognitive behavioral approach would benefit this client, because it challenges the thought processes that she's having right now. I mean, she is jumping to conclusions about what her husband will say. She says her husband will be adamant to make her to have this baby. So she's actually jumping to conclusions regarding his thoughts. She's also jumping to conclusion, and she feels that she can actually read what's going on in everybody's mind about the situation. So by using cognitive therapy, behavioral therapy, we can actually challenge these cognitive conclusions that she has actually come to by herself, without actually having a proper thought about it, without having a proper discussion about it. The other thing is, with solution-focused therapy, once again, she can look at the process of the solutions and the actions. So I think this approach will be very beneficial, because she can actually look at a plan that she can put in place and decide what her ultimate goals are and how she is actually going to be able to achieve these goals. And develop a picture of what her outcomes will be and what her goals are, so that she actually has a clear idea of where she's headed. The limitations of using cognitive behavioral therapy is it has a very high level of commitment, and so with cognitive behavioral therapy, there's also a lot of extra work at home. So she will be required to put that in despite everything that is going on in her life, which is her family, her husband, her children, her job. The other problem with the other limitation of cognitive behavioral therapy is that it focuses, there's a focus on anxiety and the negative feeling, and that in itself might actually raise her level of anxiety about the whole situation. So that may not that might not be comfortable for her to actually go through. The other thing is, it focuses on her ability to change herself, and that's something that she may not have considered. So these are the limitations of cognitive behavioral therapy. For solution-focused therapy, one of the main limitations is that it is very brief. So and it may not go into depth about and it may not allow the depth that she might require in being to actually challenge her beliefs, her ideas of where this is all coming from, where her feelings are coming from, and she may not have enough sessions to actually talk about everything, all the emotions that may be bubbling up inside her. The other thing is what techniques and processes I think I'd be very comfortable using cognitive behavioral therapy, simply because it challenges the cognitions the thoughts that she's having about her husband, about her situation at home. She's actually jumping to conclusions about where her husband is going to go with this, what people are going to say. So once challenged, she might actually realize that that's actually not where it might be, or she might actually realize that she actually needs to talk to them about it before she can actually jump to these conclusions. So I'll be definitely comfortable using the cognitive behavioral therapy. Solution focused therapy would also be appropriate because it gives her a set of, it develops a picture for her, and so she can actually decide what her goals are, and using the miracle questions she can actually decide that if this is the situation she wants to be in, it may not, and she can actually make her decision from that regarding the solution. I think the technique that I'd be comfortable using with her would be cognitive behavioral therapy, because once again I would like to be able to challenge her thought processes and make her see that she may not be accurate in her description of her husband's mindset, or accurate in her husband's decision. I mean, everyone else's decisions regarding what she should do, and she might actually be start talking about how it would be comfortable to actually talk to them about it. That's there. And I think I'll also be comfortable using solution focused therapy because it is comfortable enough for her to be able to develop a picture and for her to be able to see which way she's headed with her life. It might actually make it clearer for her as to what she wants and what she doesn't want, and that way, once she has a clear picture, she's able to make a stronger decision. Now, the second case study is Judith, age 30. Now, her presenting concerns are that she has self-esteem issues and she's experiencing bullying and stress management issues at work. I think she also has relationship issues with the people in her workplace, and she says that she claims to give people useful feedback, but they see it as constant criticism. The other thing is she says that she has very high standards. So a goal for counseling for this client might be a focus on the relationships that she has with everyone in the workplace. Another thing might be stress management, and a third might be looking at her delivery of criticism or or her feedback as she sees it, and how people actually take it and talk about it or receive it. So focusing on that. I do not think this client will be very responsive to counseling, simply because she has stated that the only reason she was actually referred by HR, and she has stated that she's just there to keep them happy, and also that the staff are very sensitive. So she has some very set ideas, and she may not want to be challenged. She may not want to explore further into self-management or self-actualization in any way. So it might be quite hard to actually counsel someone like this. I think cognitive behavioral approach would benefit her because it would create the opportunity for her to see what her delivery of certain her feedback, her criticism has on relationships with other people. It's not about just delivering it to the person, it's about how it actually affects them, how it makes them feel. And so maybe looking at what the feedback is as the activating event, so challenging the patterns of her thinking as to challenging her patterns of thinking and the result of it, so helping her see what it is clearly. The other, for solution-focused therapy, might be beneficial to this client, once again, because it's a very brief therapy. So seeing that she may not want to be in counseling, brief therapy might actually work really well if you say to her, look, you're only here for this. It also gives her a plan as to how she can actually develop a plan of action. So it looks like she's actually she actually has a plan to follow through. She has strategy steps that she can follow through, and how she's actually responding, how her behaviors actually lead to her actions actually lead to people's behavior. So she's able to actually focus on what's going on in her life, on how her life at work and how it's affecting her relationship. So she's able to actually see a clearer picture of it. The techniques and the limitations of using cognitive behavioral therapy is, once again, cognitive behavioral therapy is a high level of commitment, and seeing that she is actually not happy to be there on her own, she may not be willing to put in the work, the extra work that goes with it, and she may not want to confront it. Once again, it might increase her level of anxiety and stress management. The other thing, the other limitation with brief therapy is the fact that it has no deep analysis. So there's no way she can actually, we can't explore what it is that's actually causing her to be the way she is, what it is that's causing her level of, I suppose, the level of stress in her life or her self-esteem issues. We don't actually go into depth, so we actually don't get a clearer picture of where she is, where all this comes from. The techniques that I would be most comfortable using, once again, would be the, I think, cognitive behavioral therapy, because we could use the ABC technique, where the activating the activating event is what she says, and the consequence of her event, which is the C, is the person's behavior, and then she actually sees where and so she can actually see where her behavior is actually the behavior in between. So she can actually see where the ABC actually fits in. I think also using solution-focused therapy would be good for her, once again, because it gives her a clear picture as to what she actually wants to achieve, where she wants to go with, where she actually wants to go in the company, and what she needs to do. So she might actually be open to using these techniques in order to get somewhere, as opposed to she has to change herself in order to help someone else. I think once again, solution-focused therapy will be good for her because it's brief, it develops a picture for her, and I think I'll be very comfortable using it for Judith.